Does Hinduism have a founder or a single holy book like other major religions? No, and that might be the most misunderstood and most powerful truth about Hinduism. Let's unpack it. Quick question before we dive in. Have you ever wondered who started Hinduism? Write your answer down in the comments, yes or no. Alright, unlike Christianity, which traces back to Jesus, or Islam, founded by Prophet Muhammad, Hinduism doesn't have a single historical founder. You won't find one person, one prophet, or even one timeline where it all began. Instead, Hinduism is a way of life that evolved over thousands of years through oral traditions passed down by sages and rishis, sacred teachers and meditators who never claimed authorship. This is why many Hindus prefer calling it Sanatana Dharma, meaning eternal way or eternal order. So where did it all begin? To understand this, we have to look at ancient India over 4,000 years ago, during the Indus Valley civilization. While we don't have written texts from that era, archaeologists have found seals with yogic postures, swastikas, and Shiva-like figures, early signs that spiritual ideas were already forming. Then came the Vedic period, around 1500 BCE, when the Vedas, Hinduism's oldest scriptures, were composed. But here's the twist. The Vedas were not written down, they were heard. They belonged to what's called Shruti, meaning that which is heard. According to tradition, ancient rishis received the Vedas through deep meditation and passed them down orally for centuries before they were ever written. There are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, hymns to natural forces and cosmic order; Yajur Veda, ritual instructions; Sama Veda, chants and melodies; Atharva Veda, practical knowledge and mantras. But here is where people often get confused. Hinduism doesn't have just one holy book. It has a whole library, a living body of texts that reflect different paths and philosophies. These texts fall into 2 main categories: Shruti, that which is heard, includes the Vedas and Upanishads; Smriti, that which is remembered, includes the epics, Puranas, and Dharma Shastras. Let's break that down. The Upanishads, which come at the end of the Vedas, are deeply philosophical. They explore questions like, who am I? What is the soul? What is the universe? They introduce core concepts like Brahman, universal reality, and Atman, individual soul, ideas that form the foundation of Hindu spirituality. Then there's Smriti, which includes the Mahabharata, the longest epic poem in the world. Within it is the Bhagavad Gita, a powerful dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna that dives into duty, morality, and spiritual wisdom. The Ramayana, the story of Rama, Sita, Hanuman, and Ravana. It's not just a tale, it's a guide to Dharma, or righteous living. The Puranas, which are mythological texts filled with stories of gods and goddesses like Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, and Ganesha. These are the stories many of us grew up hearing at bedtime or during festivals. So who actually wrote all this down? The Mahabharata is traditionally attributed to the sage Vyasa, also called Veda Vyasa. According to legend, Vyasa dictated the epic to Lord Ganesha, who agreed to write it only if Vyasa recited it without pause. To buy time, Vyasa asked Ganesha to understand each verse before writing it down. Vyasa is also credited with compiling the Vedas. The Ramayana is attributed to the sage Valmiki, who is known as the Adi Kavi, or the first poet. Inspired by a moment of grief in nature, Valmiki composed the Ramayana as a poetic retelling of Rama's journey. He's also said to have taught it to Rama's sons, Lava and Kusha. But here's the thing, Vyasa and Valmiki aren't seen as authors in the modern sense. They're rishis, seers, who received sacred knowledge and passed it down. The actual writing of these texts likely came centuries later, between 500 BCE and 400 CE, once writing systems like Brahmi and Devanagari developed. So while they're honored as composers, the truths in these texts are seen as timeless, not invented but revealed. And that's exactly why Hinduism has no single book, because it's not built on one revelation, one prophet, or one moment in history. It's built on the idea that truth is vast, and that different people need different paths to reach it. The Sanskrit phrase ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti says, "The truth is one, but the wise call it by many names." That's why Hinduism can embrace monotheism, polytheism, pantheism, and even atheism without contradiction. So, let's recap. Hinduism has no founder because it's not rooted in one person's vision. It has no single holy book because its wisdom is too vast for just one text. Instead, it offers a whole ecosystem of teachings for seekers of all kinds. And that's what makes Hinduism one of the most open, flexible, and profound spiritual paths in the world. If you've ever felt confused about what book to start with or why there's no Hindu Bible, now you know, and remember, this is just one episode in our complete Unpacking Hinduism course here on YouTube. So if you're curious to go deeper, subscribe to the channel and check out the full course playlist. We've broken everything down into clear, simple modules to help you make sense of it all, one episode at a time. Follow us for more content. What questions would you like answered next?